Hello everyone, Corey Mitchell here with TradeThatSwing.com. Let's go through a quick stock market outlook for the week of August 28th. Each week, same process. I'm just looking at the overall market conditions to decide how aggressively I am going to be deploying capital, or if I'm going to be deploying capital at all. So we'll look at a few different things, including these, how the indices are performing, market health indicators, recent watch list and trade performance, and sector performance. And you can see some of the stocks I've been watching recently. I didn't take any trades last week. I have not updated the stock list. I will run through it this week. We'll see if anything comes up. Since the markets have corrected a little bit, may not have a ton of setups, but I will take a look this week and update this stock list. This is basically setups that are in the making. The best swing trading stocks list for August was recently updated, and it's just stocks that have a lot of recent momentum. And then you can also always check out these other lists for longer term, better performing stocks, which you might find some trade setups in, or like how they look maybe even after a little bit of a pullback we've seen. So how the market indices are performing, I look at four different indices. Tech stocks, the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500, which is just a large U.S. companies, NYSE composite, wide array of stocks of varying sizes and industry, very good indicator of how sort of the average stock out there is doing, and the Russell 2000 looks at smaller indices. We also over here have the Canadian index, and just for interest's sake, we have Bitcoin up here. And we can see all of these are in at least a short-term correction, kind of approaching kind of some major prior lows that we'd seen, and they have made some short-term lower lows. We have taken out, on the NASDAQ, we took out this little low here, this little low here. On the S&P, we took out this one, and we have been making these little steps lower. So we are in at least a short-term correction. When we look at the sizes of these corrections, this first one back in early 2023, 9% on the S&P 500, we're a little less than 6%. So this is still, a pretty minor correction in terms of price action and magnitude of this move. So nothing I'm really too concerned about yet. But at the same time, I'm not taking any swing trades right now. Our health indicators, which we'll discuss next, have turned negative. We are in a pullback. I don't know how this could continue another few percent, and I'm not going to be taking swing trades, hoping it turns around. Once those health indicators turn around, they're usually pretty good signals that it's going to be good for a little while, and that's when I'll start taking trades. So basically, we need to start moving up, and then I'll get interested in this again and start taking some trades. So that could be up in this area here is where my guess is the health indicators will start to turn positive. And then if we continue to move up, we'll still have lots of time as the price, this overall uptrend continues. But of course, my job is not about prediction. I just look at what the indices are doing right now, and that's what I base my trading decisions on. We have been moving lower. That's why I'm out. Quickly, the Canadian index moving pretty much sideways this year, just in this tightening up range. And, we're moving back. We're in the lower half. So definitely not a strong market on the Canadian side. I'd be very selective in Canadian stocks. Bitcoin, same thing. We had this, pretty gradual decline. It was looking decent, and then we had the bottom fall out a bit here. So it's not ideal situation, just stuck in this big range. So now, who knows? We could head back up, or we could break out the bottom. So again, not an ideal situation there either. Let's look at the health indicators. You can still see I have the percentages of these declines on here. Yeah, 8%, 9%, some of these smaller, 3%, 2%, and this one about 6%. And this is how many stocks are above their 50-day moving average. The red line is the S&P 500, so you have about 32% of S&P 500 stocks above their 50-day moving average. Not ideal. And you have 34% of all U.S. stocks above their 50-day moving average. Not that there's anything critical about the 50-day. It's just a very crude measure of how many stocks are in short-term uptrends. Much easier to make money when this is above the 50% level. As you can see, we had these nice uptrends recently when that happened. When it's below, we usually get this choppy type trading. So much better to just have a little patience and wait for this to start popping above the 50%. then most stocks are moving up. Going to be much easier to make money. Volume not important at the moment. This is the percentage movement of the S&P 500 per day, and it's pretty calm, which gives it a smiley face. So this is actually quite good. Despite this decline, we did not have any big selling days. I count a big selling day as minus 2%. When you have a minus 2% down day on the S&P 500, that is usually a sign that a lot of selling is coming into the market. Or I was going to say selling enthusiasm is coming into the market. People are eagerly trying to sell and get out of positions, and that's usually not so good short term. So we had, the last one we had is here, and that was just basically the start of this bigger decline that unfolded. And we have not had any of those. It's very complacent. Uptrends are generally lower volatility environments, and we are still seeing that. We're not having big intraday movements like we did back during this bear market of 2022, 2023, with the exception of March, where we had some bigger down days, has been quite calm, and that's indicative of an uptrend. What else? Oh yeah. And we have the NYSE advanced decline line. This is advancing stocks minus declining stocks as a cumulative number. And we can see we are trending a little bit lower along with the S&P 500, which is to be expected. So I gave this a thumbs down, but it's really just following the index. So it's not really giving us too much more information than what price action is giving us. But yeah, not ideal. If this was holding up, near the highs while the S&P 500 dropped, that would be a good sign, but it's just kind of tracking it. And so that's basically what we'd expect to see, but not giving us any good signs or bad signs. And upside volume versus total volume, this bottom indicator, no recent signals. We're only looking for values way down here by this black line or way up here. So nothing recent, nothing important there. I also like to look at how many quality setups there are and how they are working. I didn't take any trades last week, so I can't comment on how trades were working. I do still have some charts up that I was watching before, and I would say most haven't done super great this past week. So good idea to be out of the market, I think, and the indicators told us to get out last week, or I think even the week before on the Friday or Thursday. I am going to run a scan this week just to see how many stocks are out there setting up, and that helps give me an idea of the health of the market. Even though we're in a pullback, if I see lots of stocks that are setting up and looking good, like contraction patterns, rounded bottom patterns, that's a good sign. If I see almost nothing, then that's not a great sign. And obviously, if there's not many trade signals or potential setups out there, I'm going to be in cash longer because there's nothing for me to put my cash into. So yeah, right now sitting in cash and looking to, once we start to see some better health indicators, once especially this one starts getting up around the 50% level, then I'll look to start generating some cash. Sectors on the move. I didn't change anything from last week. It's a pretty mixed bag out there at the moment. Over the last 3 months, everything doing pretty well, and over the last week and over the last month, these have really been shifting around quite a bit recently. I would say energy, consumer cyclicals, technology, industrials, hanging out near the top of most of these lists. And yeah, really any kind of sectors that are in the top area of the 1 week, the 1 month, the 3 month, and especially the 1 month and 3 month, a little bit longer term, are going to be good. You don't have to focus on individual sectors. It's just if you're pinched for scanning time, you may want to look at just the sectors that are doing really well. But generally, by default, the sectors that are performing well and the stocks that are performing well are going to come up on our scans anyway if we're looking for stocks that are strong. But yeah, these are the sectors that are probably the most interesting at the moment. So what I'm doing, I'm just sitting cash right now, waiting for conditions to improve, those market health indicators to improve, and wait for stock setups to start forming again. Of course, I always day trade, so I'm day trading the Euro USD and then sometimes stocks after if I want to continue my session. And day trading, you always have some action every day, or pretty much every day. There are some days where I don't take trades, but for the most part, you get some opportunities every day. Whereas swing trading, we get these periods of inaction. We're in a period of inaction right now. I'm not deploying any capital. That capital is basically just sitting there and waiting to get put into action. With day trading, we can be using that capital every day. So I like having both of those. And then I also like to passively invest. So this is just buying some ETFs that no matter what the market does, I'm always kind of taking advantage of that 10% in the S&P 500, and it's closer to 15% with the NASDAQ 100. So that's just accumulating in the background, and you can read about all these different approaches via the links. You can always access this article just on the website. It'll usually be on the first page because I update this swing trading stock market outlook each week. And that's your outlook for this week. Happy trading out there.